A lot of
Oh,
people
gosh.
consider Everest kind of like the highlight of their climbing life. It was it for you, or let me give you an out here, or is it hiking with Jennifer?
Oh, those are
Well,
really two different schools of thought.
Welcome to the Greens and Blues 14er podcast. This episode, we continue our conversation with the
The inimitable.
Gerry and Jennifer Roach.
Uh, I don't know why we have a block over that word, but it's hilarious.
Eric learns how to speak English, and we continue our conversation with the Roaches. Oh, yeah, I'm still kind of pinching myself, Zach, from the fact
Yeah.
that we actually got to speak with Jennifer and Gerry Roach. That was a lot of fun chatting with them in the first half, and we got to do it all over again with the second half that we're about to listen to.
Yeah, this is really enjoy the first episode, hearing a lot of Jerry's stories about learning how to climb, about just the drive to hike and climb the way he did, like,
Mm-hmm.
taking his friend's mom's clothesline, um, just doing some really sketchy stuff, and how that led to a lifetime of climbing and adventure. And again, it's really hard to condense a hiking life of 60 some odd years down into an hour and a half. And really, there's no way to do it. So just consider this maybe a preview of all the other things that Jerry's written about and that Jennifer has done as well. Really, two amazing people to talk to. I love it. In this episode, we get into just some quirky little details. We do the favorite songs.
Yep.
Gerry and Jennifer express their love for Nutty Buddies,
Yeah.
which,
Oh, great.
I'm allergic to peanuts and wheat, but if it's good enough for Gerry, I'm willing to eat that on my next hike. Maybe that's the secret fuel
Well,
to climbing success.
there you go.
So yeah, this was just a lot of fun. Again, thank you so much to Tim and Carrie Cooney, who referred us to Gerry and Jennifer Roach. Really amazing. I'm just glad we got to do this. You have any other
Agreed.
thoughts, Eric?
Completely agree. A lot of fun, a lot of great stories, a lot of, like you said, some fun, quirky things that we weren't expecting, but really added some cool color to the adventure stories that we were looking forward to. So
Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna do normal episodes after this, dude. Like, well, the last two we did Gerry and Jennifer Roach, and now let's talk about Zach going over an insignificant 13er. Like,
let's
what
get into frog stranglers again and figure out what become meteorologists.
what a letdown that's gonna be, right? Well, with that, I guess that's probably the proper segue to the legendary Jennifer and Gerry Roach and part 2 of our really enjoyable conversation with both of them. Is that what inspired your quest for the highest peaks of North America?
Kinda, a little bit. Somewhere along the line, I decided I had to climb the 10 highest peaks in North America. Well, that's a long list.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of tough peaks. Mount Logan is probably the toughest. So I completed that, but I had done Sanford, Bona, 16ers. I call them the sexy 16ers. That made it up to 13.
Wow.
And I finished that in 2004. Took a lot of time.
And where in all of that do you do the 7 summits, Gerry?
Well, that's another story.
How much time do you have, Adam?
I'm here all day, and just
I may
you just
need a
keep going.
bathroom break here in a moment.
Yeah, we'll have to take a break and
Yeah.
go get a lunch.
Yeah, go get lunch.
Well, we met Dick Bass and Frank Wells. Dick Bass had the idea to be the first to do the 7 summits, 7 continent summits.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank Wells was with him. So that's where the idea came from. I had done Kilimanjaro in 1973. I had done Kosciuszko in 72. Nowadays, the 7 summits include Karsten's Pyramid, which is on an island. The companies cannot sell a trip to Kosciuszko because you can just go there yourself. They can sell a trip to Karsten's Pyramid. So that has become what I call the 8th summit.
8 out of the 7 summits.
8 out of 7.
Yeah.
We had a Vincent trip in 85, and we had a vicious storm, kept us tent bound for 5 days, 50 below. You had to have a good bag.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
So the storm cleared, and we went up to what should have been our high camp. And Glenn Porzak said, I got to go down with the other 2 people. So it left me and Glenn to go to the top, just the 2 of us. Now in the Antarctic, the sun doesn't set, but it goes behind the peaks, and you're in the shadow. So we climbed in the shadow for hours, and we finally popped up to the summit and hit the sun. Yay! That was quite the climb. Vincent has many summits. Some people climb the wrong summit.
Wow.
Oh.
So I reread carefully Rick Ridgway's account of Dick Bass's ascent of Vincent. It sounded pretty good, but I don't know if they made the right summit or not.
Poor guy. Did you do Everest last?
No, Everest was 83.
Okay.
The
You did a
Everest-
bunch of other peaks in the Himalaya too, right?
Yeah, Manaslu and Shishapangma were the other 2. We didn't make either of those. I went to Everest in 76, American Bicentennial Everest Expedition, because it was 200 years after
The birth of our country.
independence.
Yeah, just that.
Just that.
Yeah.
me and Rick Ridgway got to the South Col, but Ridgway was having altitude problems, so we had to descend. So 2 guys made the summit from a high camp. The Sherpa Siddhar, his mom died down in Namche Bazaar. And so he had to run down. There's a belief that you got to be with the spirit within 2 days or something. So he ran down to Namche Bazaar. The Sherpas took that as a bad omen.
Oh.
They all came off the mountain. So we had no Sherpas up there. So I didn't make it in 76. In 83, we were bent. We were going to do it. 5 of us went to the South Col. We were the only people at the South Col.
Yeah, you won't find that anymore.
No. And we went up, and I was leading, and I looked up the gully instead of going over to the ridge. And I said, well, that's a shortcut. It doesn't look so bad. We could go up the gully. So we went up the gully. Well, it was steep at the top, probably 50 degrees. Then it was socked in on the ridge. And it was like, oh, should we go down? And we decided that the weather wasn't that bad, and we started up. The cameraman, Dave Brashears, started down. We had 20 pounds of camera gear.
Oh, wow.
Divided up among 4 of us.
It wouldn't be that way anymore. Now everything is with a phone.
Yeah, I mean, it's better, and it's better than the 20 pounds that they
and
were
it's
carrying.
better. Yeah.
So the camera guy started down. Then it cleared up, and we were going up. And he said, "Wait for me." And I said, "You don't wait for anyone on Everest. You got to catch up." So he was in good shape, and he managed to catch up because we were post-holing into the deep snow. And we got to the south summit about 3 p.m., which was late. And people said later well, didn't it look like a horrendous far pitch to the summit? And I said, no, it looked close. So we went on to the summit, got to the summit about 4. Pete, my buddy, ran out of oxygen before he got to the summit.
Oh dear.
Oh, wow.
We're above the Hillary step. We're stomping up to the tippy top. The rope comes tight. I look back. Pete's down there doing like one of these. He'd run out of oxygen because he pushed it to 3 lower down. And I said, you're going to run out before you get to the top, because we had it figured that 2 liters a minute go for 12 hours. So we retreated back down to Pete because he had some of the camera gear. We pulled it out of his pack. So camera guy and me had to carry the 20 pounds to the top.
Oh, wow.
I told Pete, leave your pack. You can stagger up the last 100 yards without oxygen. I'll give you some of my oxygen on the summit. So he did. So we got to the top. Larry Nielsen was our guy who was meant to be the first American to climb Everest without supplemental oxygen. So we had to get the camera gear ready for the money shot, which was Larry arriving at the summit without oxygen. We got it set up. We weren't recording on the summit. We had a transmitter. We were transmitting the signal back to Everest View Base Camp, way down. So we got the money shot. Larry was only on top for about 10 minutes, and he started down because he was climbing pretty much by himself.
Oh, wow. Is this where your advice that the only first aid above 26,000 feet is getting below 26,000 feet
Yep.
That's
comes from?
Nobody's going to carry you down.
No.
First aid above 26,000 is getting below 26,000.
That's a rule that I live by studiously.
So I was on top for 35 minutes. I never sat down because I was running around doing everything else, hooking up the camera gear. We started down. It was late. We got to the top of the Hillary step. We made a bad mistake. The Japanese team that had climbed Everest that winter, not that many months before us, had placed a tiny little rope at the Hillary step. We sent both Pete and Angrita, our Sherpa, down the rope at the same time. Bad mistake. I was standing at the top with the camera guy, and he starts hollering, the anchor's coming out, the anchor's coming out. And I looked over, and I could see the little tiny plate that was holding the fixed rope. And I said very calmly, well, stomp on it.
Did it work?
He stomped, and he got the angle right and drove it deep. And then we got down. Larry Nielsen had been sitting, we could see him sitting at the bottom of the Hillary step. We wondered why he was sitting there, not going on. So all 4, we got down the Hillary step carefully. All 4 of us went by Larry. Come on, Larry, we got to go, it's late. Come on, Larry, we got to go, it's late. I was the last person to go by him. Come on, Larry, we got to go, it's late. And he said, Gerry, talk to me. I am talking to you. Come on, we got to go, it's late. No, talk to me about my family.
Oh, dear.
And I realized he was losing it.
Yeah.
Well, we'd been on the trip together, and I knew his wife's name and kids' names. And I said, your wife and your kids are sitting in your living room, staring out the window, willing you to stand up and start walking down the mountain. He needed to hear that line. So he stood up and started walking.
And he made it?
Well, we saved his life about 6 times. That was the count.
A lot of people consider Everest kind of like the highlight of their climbing life. Was it for you, or let me give you an out here, or is it hiking with Jennifer?
Those are really 2 different schools of thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
We had a dog for 13 years, and she climbed about 1,000 peaks with us.
Oh wow.
that's,
my
yeah,
gosh.
that's like another phase of, we got her when we moved here in
Okay.
2012. We actually had her a little before that, and that dog was just
She-
amazing. We didn't
she
teach
could-
her a thing. She just,
She could do class 3, class 4,
We-
and once I saw her do a class 5 move.
yeah, she used to, I used to think, and she would do a lot of disappearing acts and then show
Yeah.
up again. And I mean, I used to think she's almost like a cat with 9 lives. I just
Yeah.
can't believe she's making it through this. But she was almost 17 when she died. So
Oh, what kind of dog was this?
she was
Oh,
a
wow.
little Pomeranian Shetland sheepdog mix. In fact, she's on the wall behind
Oh
us
my
here.
goodness.
Can you see the
I
picture?
can see the picture.
I
Yeah.
can barely see it.
So,
Yeah.
Gerry and
Yeah.
Jennifer, I had a Sheltie.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
The most amazing. Eric's hiked with her.
Mm-hmm.
Most amazing hiker dog. Like, yeah, I could. When you said class 3, class 4 move,
Oh.
I saw my dog do a legit class 3+ move on Pacific Peak, where there's that
Pacific
little
Peak,
wedge
yeah, there's a
where you
Pacific.
got to go across and then up.
yes.
She jumped it. She didn't even walk across it. She just jumped it all in one move. And I thought, I'm going to kill my
You're
dog.
gonna kill your dog, yeah, and that,
And
and you think, oh, this is it. This is the last.
no problem. Spry as a goat. So
Yeah, yeah.
literally two of the most legendary climbers in Colorado history found the one dog that's the most legendary in Colorado history.
She died in June of 22. She actually had liver and kidney failure. We finally had to make a very hard choice with her. But Gerry and I do volunteer at our local animal shelter in Ridgeway. And we go there and we just play with the dogs. Boy, we've gotten about this close. I almost did it last month. I didn't. We're still looking at getting another dog. We just haven't done it yet.
So we didn't get back to the tent. The shears took off with Larry because he knew how to glissade down the couloir,
Oh wow.
and that was faster.
Yeah, it is.
We had our Sherpa Angrita, who was really tough. He did it without oxygen. And so I told Pete, we got to get Angrita off his feet, get him sliding so he can see that sliding is quicker. And so I went down, hit the end of the rope, boink, couldn't pull him off his feet. Hollered at Pete, you come down and get him off his feet. And got him off his feet. It's the only time in my life I have heard a real death cry. To him, sliding was falling was death. I can't imitate it. It would be too dramatic. He came down and landed between us. And I looked at Pete and I said, well, that didn't work.
And Pete and Gwenda live they're dear friends of ours. They actually live in Durango, so we communicate with them not as frequently as we should, but we see each other times a year. So
Wow.
Yeah. So we collected our breath. Then I did what I'd always done. I stood up and started walking carefully down the mountain, which is how we got down.
So, favorite 14er?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite 14er is Long's Peak.
I could have guessed.
I was
That's
going to
where
say,
I
I think
grew up
that would have been a
climbing.
good guess. And Jennifer?
I've always had a fondness for Mount Massive. I really like Mount Massive.
Mm.
Many ways to climb it. It's in the Saguache, which is the big, giant, friendly range I started climbing 14ers in a long time ago. And I love Mount Massive. I've done it maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. I might still actually be able to climb Mount Massive.
Yeah.
I'm not doing many 14ers these days. I'm doing all kinds of
12ers.
Oh, not even that. I mean, we do obscure things.
I don't call it mountain climbing anymore. I call it bagging bumps.
Yeah, we do. We're actually, Gerry and I are going to go do something tomorrow. I haven't quite figured out what yet,
We'll
but
bag a bump.
we'll go bag a bump. We're not content with just little hikes. We really got to be on top of something.
We were,
I get the sense of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of gives us that
we were
completion
in New
feeling.
Mexico a couple of weeks ago. We climbed a peak 6 miles from the Mexican border. We could see the border from the summit. Somebody asked me, "Did you see anybody running across the border?" And I said, "No."
It was down in the boot heel of New Mexico, very remote area.
I've hiked in the Gila quite a bit.
Oh, yes, yeah.
That's fantastic hiking. Mogollon, Baldy, and some of those peaks.
Yeah.
Those are great. I have a question just about, this is kind of a random question. You guys have a story in your 13er book about a guy running up and running down Dallas Peak.
Yeah.
Now we talked about that, and that
the guy with the leather pants or something like that.
Leather. Well, there was a
We
friend.
call him Moccasin Man.
Moccasin Man, yeah.
He was in moccasins.
There's a friend of ours, and Stu and Barbara Krebs, who still live here in Montrose. Mm-hmm. Stu would be, 85, 86, 87.
He's probably older than me.
Yeah, definitely he is. That's pretty old. That'd be very old. No, but he's actually a Montrose native. But he's the one who told Gerry that story, that he was climbing Dallas Peak, and that he says
he was on the summit.
Some guy in moccasins came up there.
The guy in moccasins came up the West Ridge and asked him, "How do you get down?" He said, "Well, you can rappel down our ropes, or you could climb down the way we came up."
So that wasn't Gerry.
No, it's an apocryphal story. Have we ever found out who this guy is, though? That's what I want to know.
It's a bit fanciful when you think of somebody in moccasins doing this, but I mean, I don't know. The guy who has the real story is Stu Krebs. So
okay.
How about your favorite non-14er?
Green Mountain above Boulder, because that's where all the rocks are.
There you go.
It's only 8,000 feet.
Well, I'm kind of a big fan of anything really obscure. I just love obscurity. So Gerry and I have done things not just in Colorado, but he and I have done the county high points of Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Nevada. So we've done 5 states with all the county high points. Now, Nevada doesn't have a lot of counties, but some of their peaks are just, talk about obscure.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite peaks that we've done now, and this wasn't even a county high point, come to think of it, was one we did in Nevada called Mount Troy. And remember, we did that with Izzy.
Yeah.
And she kept, I think the routes even changed. I think the road got washed out, but just it was one of those days where everything went off without a hitch, including Izzy. Our dog was out ahead of us, and she found the route. I mean, we just followed her, and somehow she knew where the route was. It's dog intuition, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it would be very hard for me to say that was my most favorite peak, but it's just one thing that pops into my head as being, wow. I don't know if you could ever repeat a day like that. It just was perfect.
I smell a new book, the dog routes. Just
dog routes?
Climbing the mountains behind Izzy.
Yeah.
Izzy's routes or something like that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I am working on my 17th book. My former wife and I, in 1973, we were living in Denver. We had a fourplex. We finally sold it, and we made $50,000. And I said, for $50,000, we can go around the world.
Never mind investing.
No. This is
in my pocket.
the life philosophy of a climber, right? Right.
Spend it.
So we went around the world, climbed 63 peaks. We climbed around the world.
Oh, wow.
We climbed 63 peaks, only failed on 3. We're putting a picture book together about that trip.
Oh, wow.
Because we have 400 plus slides beautiful slides of that trip.
So Barbara and Gerry have been working on this now for better part of a year, I guess.
It'll happen eventually, but we also did a picture book about the first 2 years of outdoor pursuits.
at Fort Lewis College.
Yeah, those with those Fort Lewis kids dragging them up Jagged Peak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What they don't know about won't hurt them.
Yeah.
So this is our second book. It'll happen. We'll self-produce it. We don't need a publisher.
No, you don't these days.
No.
I've self-produced, I don't know, a lot of my books, including this one, Northern Heights. This is the story of climbing the 13 highest peaks in North America. Da, 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 da.
So in all of this, all your books, everything you've thought about, what's the best piece of wisdom that someone has given you about hiking, Gerry?
Well, in Colorado, I think you've got to pay attention to lightning. Lightning can kill you in a split second. I've been going up a peak and I've seen people running down. I say, why are you running? To get away from the lightning. Because that, I think, is the biggest hazard in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderstorms. So start early.
How about you, Jennifer? Best piece of advice you've received?
I think one of the best, besides somebody showing me the correct way to hang the ice axe on the back of my pack, so it didn't fall off and bonk the person behind my head.
Those loops are there for
they're
for
there.
A reason.
They're not just there to like hang, like a little piece of ribbon. I think the best piece of advice, and it's really hard to do, is don't be afraid to turn around. If it can happen another day, or maybe it won't. Maybe this is the only time you'll ever come here to do this. But I mean, these things happen for a reason. So if you feel in your gut that this is wrong, this is not a good idea, turn around. Don't be afraid to do it. And I haven't done that much, fortunately, in all the years I've been doing this.
Yeah, your success rate is incredibly high.
But of course, I haven't done anything, I haven't done anything nearly as hard as Gerry, but you have to put it into perspective and what you're capable of doing at the time. I mean, I've done stuff with not just Gerry, with a lot of different people. And most of the time, I would say 95% of the time we've made our summit, but there have been times when I've been with people where we said, we got to turn around. This is not good. It doesn't feel right. Somebody doesn't feel right, but we don't have the equipment. If you don't have a rope and you get to a spot where somebody is saying, I really would be more comfortable roped up, that's a good point at which to turn it on its heel and come back with a rope.
Yeah. Gerry, you have one of your rules in one of your books is to never get separated from your lunch.
I think Zach has taken that up as his life motto.
I've taken you very seriously with that. But for both of you, what's your favorite lunch to eat? Because you're both summit lovers. You guys both seem to take the joys of mountaineering seriously. What's your favorite lunch?
We take a lot of snacks.
Yeah, we do.
And sometimes if it's a long day, we'll make a sandwich or two.
Yeah. Boy, egg sandwiches. Yeah.
Egg sandwiches.
Yeah. But the thing I've really been stuck on here lately are these things called Nutty Buddies. I just they're made by Little Debbie, and they're addictively good. They're like little wafer cookies with peanut butter in them.
Yeah. Familiar.
So next time you're looking for something good to put in your lunch, throw in some Nutty Buddies. Ooh. You'll thank me.
And don't get separated from your lunch.
Get separated.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Every time I've left my pack behind with my lunch in it, and I'm like, I'll just go scamper up and get this peak. Every time I regret it. I'm like, I want my lunch with me right now.
Yeah. You want your lunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Zach and I are huge music fans. One thing that we always do is we ask, let's say your favorite mountain was this song, or mountaineering in general was this song. What song would it be?
I've got one. So it's that song by Bon Jovi, It's My Life.
Oh yeah.
It's my life.
Yeah.
It's now or never.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna live forever.
Yeah, that's great.
My goal is to live forever. I'm doing pretty well at that. But Yeah.
The listeners cannot see this, but Jennifer did this, I don't know face when he said that.
So
Yeah.
the way you do that is you wake up every morning and you make the best day of your life.
Actually, there's a great quote. I have it on the bathroom mirror, and it says, "May you live all the days of your life."
Yeah.
So it's not just up there, but it's every day.
You guys seem to have really lived into that. Like, I mean, it seems like every day is an adventure or getting ready for an adventure with.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I think the thing is, as you get older, especially like now, I'm going to be 72 here in just a few days, and Gerry is 81. He'll be 82 in September. I have to look back in gratitude at what I was able to do. I'm happy for where I'm at right now. And just going forward, I think I just want to be able to do.
Bumps.
You just stole my thunder. I want to be happy for that I can still do something, that's going forward. And so every year, it's not so much a bunch of us anymore. Several of us, mostly these are people out of the Denver area, get together and we do a little April trip to Arizona and find some desert peaks. And in the last few years, I've been the one who's been sort of putting together. I'm trying to find the climbs, these little peak climbs that we can still do. That's something that's suitable for Gerry and for other people on the trip. The average age of this group is about well over 75. I mean, I'm one of the younger ones now. And I think that's where a lot of times I come up with this thought that, I'm really happy for what we did and what we can do right now. And just going forward, what are we going to be able to do next year? And so, you just take it as it comes. I really think that's the best philosophy for being an aging mountaineer is kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
As long as you're not rolling down the hill.
It'd be like Gerry's friend on Everest with his scream. It does seem like you guys have done so much as hikers. I'm 46, Eric's a few years older than me. What has that aging process been like for you guys where, Gerry's been to 29,000 feet and now he can't do that anymore. Like, what is it like to have to temper your expectations as you get older? Is there a feeling of letdown, or is it still like, I can still do what I want to do?
Well, that depends on your attitude. I mean, that the whole idea is, what's that old saying, that you're between the sunrise and the sunset. It all depends on how you apply yourself to the day and what's your attitude going to be like. And so a lot of times I realize okay, it's not going to be the way it was. And there are times when I look back wistfully at, I used to be able to do that, or I remember when we did that and we were so strong. It just comes back to gratitude for being able to do something at all. There are people that are our ages that are in much worse shape, obviously, or they've had something terrible befall them. And that hasn't happened to us. So
people younger than me keep keeling over dead.
Well, yeah. And I just think to myself, well, I'm grateful. Every day is a gift. And so you can just put that philosophy to your own beliefs and just run with it. But I'm very grateful for every day that I get now, even if I'm just here at home. And we're home more, obviously, now. I'll tell you, we try to stay in pretty good shape. Gerry and I are fixtures at our local gym. We take core training classes. Both of us have different kinds of classes that we take. We got religion about it because we really, really want that core strength to be able to put your backpack on.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of long distance backpacking, and without that core training class that I've been taking I'm coming close to a decade here now, of this class I've been taking at our gym, I'm not sure it would have been so easy to pick up that heavy backpack and walk all day with it.
So I'm curious, you've done a lot of things individually. Do each of you have a favorite adventure that you've done together? that you look back on
Well,
and say, oh, we were together and that was really a great time?
yes, we got involved with the 100 peak list of desert peaks from the Sierra Club.
It's called the Desert Peak section and the DPS list.
Okay.
And we finished that list together. We did all those peaks together, and we finished the list together. That was a big event.
Some of them are in Mexico. A few of them are in Mexico.
A few were in
Wow.
Mexico. We had to go into Mexico to get some of them.
Yeah, I kind of didn't forget about that, but I wasn't thinking about that. That's a great answer to that question.
That's wonderful that you guys could do that together.
We did, and we finished it, and it was a great list. It was everything from the sublime to the ridiculous. It was just, I mean, there were some tough peaks in there. I think my greatest adventure that Gerry and I have finished together is I got involved in ultra running for a few years, and I did the Hard Rock 100. That's a 100-mile race that's begins and ends in Silverton.
Mm-hmm.
And Gerry paced me to. I had 3 official finishes and one unofficial finish. But Gerry was with me on all 3 finishes. And the final finish that I did, and it's been a while, I'm not doing this anymore. I haven't been close to. I don't even run anymore. Was in 2010, and I was the final finisher. I finished in less than 2 minutes to spare. And it was, that was an extremely proud moment for me to be with him. If Gerry had had a bullwhip, it probably would have helped a lot. I remember thinking coming down in the last hour, maybe it's not such a good idea to have your spouse pace you, because we were constantly snapping at each other, that shall go down in history as one of my proudest moments with him, is to have crossed that finish line with Gerry.
Well, and you would have been in your late 50s then too when you did that, right?
Yeah, because I was born in 53, so yeah.
I've seen Gerry's running splits on his old website. I know he probably paced you at a pretty mean pace that whole time too.
Yeah.
Well, he was relentless. I mean, you have to be. Well, that's what you need to finish this event, especially when you're
a half hour behind.
You're a half hour behind, more than. So anyway, like rock climbing, ultra running really was always on the bubble with it. I was not good at it. I signed up for different races in different places, and it was okay, but I don't know.
Her last finish, we were in fact a half hour behind. We got to the final pass way above Silverton,
mm-hmm.
and I told her to start jogging down the road. There's a Jeep road down there. And I came down and I went roaring by her. I said, I suggest we go this speed.
Said that, never let your spouse pace you. I think I said something I can't repeat on that.
Yeah.
So we ran top speed down the hill. We made up the half hour. Then we started.
Wow.
Yeah. Then there's an ending to the whole thing. And we slowed down and we got
Campbell Mountain
behind.
ski area, I think.
We got behind and we got to the top of the Silverton ski area. And I said, this is a great moment. You can see Silverton. Run!
And I had a horrible, this happens sometimes with ultra running when remember you've seen 3 sunrises. And you get so tired, and I had been focused on my headlamp, and I had a bad crick in my neck, and my neck was completely pulled over, so I could not lift my head up. I could only follow the back of Gerry's shoes.
Wow.
And the race director met us just before the finish line, and he said, just follow his shoes. I just remember seeing the back of Gerry's shoes going, oh.
She said, can I walk across town? And I said, no, you've got to jog.
I think I said that word again that you can't repeat.
I had rehearsed the ending, and I knew exactly how much time we had, and it wasn't much.
Yeah.
I synced my watch with the clock.
Well, Hard Rock 100 is truly a mountain run. It's I think the average elevation of the entire 101 point something miles is like 11.5 or something.
Yeah.
So you're always
right below timberline the whole
yeah,
time.
yeah. So you're always moving, over some kind of rough terrain, and you're always going up or down something. So I've started volunteering for that race now, and I just look at these poor people as they start the race. I think been there, done that, and anyway.
Well, maybe the last question here. We could probably have you guys on a dozen more times, but
oh, you don't want that.
no, this has been great.
I tell a lot of stories.
Yeah.
We're here.
We'll have a weekly segment called Jerry's Story Time or something like it. But I've heard you on another podcast, Jerry. You said that part of what animated you as you hiked was joy. And I just want to know, for both of you, what gives you joy when you think about your hiking life? What memories do you cherish the most?
The summit. Making the summit.
What is it about a summit? Is it the view? Is it the sense of completion? What is it there?
Yes, and yes.
It's the view. Yes, a lot of times it's the view.
Yeah.
Remember, for Izzy, it was lunch.
Treats.
Get up there. This is when the treats come out of the bag.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think for me, it's just that sense of accomplishment. Remember, you're only halfway there when you're on the summit. Now you got to get back to the car. Getting back to your truck, no matter what time it is, and I've come back to my truck after dark, 3 a.m. the next day,
Yeah.
And, we did do that. Gerry and I, not quite 4 years ago, spent the night out on a very obscure peak over by Rifle, Colorado, in a range called the Hogback. The Grand Hogback is what the whole thing is called. But it was May. We had good weather, but we had a lot of difficulties. Part of it is, our ages. It was a lot of scrambling. Oh, man.
Yeah.
A lot of bushwhacking. And we got up there about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and Gerry said, we did something that you can do, but maybe we shouldn't have done. We tried a different route down. So just fast forwarding, we got benighted. And so we had lots of clothes. We had lots of things in our pack. I carry a bigger pack for a reason. I had plenty of clothing. I had plenty of lights. I had batteries. We stayed relatively warm. It started snowing, raining and snowing. We found a place
under a rock
where we could stay dry. We tried to descend. We were not really that far from the highway, but we tried to descend and got very badly cliffed. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. So we said, well, it's not, a few more hours. It'll start to get light again. So let's just stop here. And so we just laid down for a while. And then the next day we corrected our mistake by going up and around, got back to the truck it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, did some private property stuff where we snuck through someone's trailer thing. I don't know what that was weird. I was like, where are we? But we got out of there. We had enough water, just barely. I remember Gerry saying to me at one point, we're going to have to spend the night out here. We're just going to have to lay low for a bit. He said, we're okay. We're not mad at each other. We're a team. We can do this. And that was just like pure joy in my heart, thinking we are a team and we are going to get through this. It's one thing I've spent the night out alone. It's another thing when you spend it out with your partner.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, we're in this together. We screwed this up together, but we can rectify it in the morning, But we're not going to die. We're okay, and we're going to stay right here. We're on the same page. We weren't arguing or mad at each other. And so it worked out. And I think that's it was kind of a telling thing about our whole mountaineering relationship together.
I think that's awesome. Probably the best way we could end this. Right. What a team. Yeah, you guys are incredible.
It's been great talking to you both.
This has been fantastic. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Okay. Yeah. Same back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm honored to have spoken to both of you. Guys, your words have stuck with me when I hike, and they'll continue to stick with me now that I've spoken to you. So
Well, and here's my final parting quote for you. And this is one that's just become my favorite quote. The way to avoid housework is to live outside.
Yeah.
I found that quote, and I just thought, I love quotes, as you can tell. And I just thought that's me anyway, because I hate housework.
I think I'm going to go tell my wife that right now.
Yeah, that's
When
perfect
she's
for
cleaning
her.
up after you,
Uh-huh,
she'll send you outside
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Get out the door.
with the dog. Thanks, you guys, for asking us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for agreeing, and best wishes. And hopefully we get to do this again at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I've got, well, here's a whole book of stories.
All right. Cool.
My
Thank you.
advice is don't fall down.
That sounds like good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I have to add the word again.
Yeah.
Well, Zach, after that fun extravaganza, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, we said it at the intro to this first part. Kind of a little starstruck. Tried not to fanboy too hard here, but that was a lot of fun, and it was made easier by the fact that Gerry and Jennifer, so nice and so fun to talk to, and such a caring, loving couple who have, I think, deep down what really drives the both of them is a love of adventure and being outside. I keep thinking about Gerry's story of going up Long's Peak, and his friends would bail. He had to get to the summit, and it wasn't because he was checking a list. He'd already checked it, right?
Yep.
It's because he wanted the view. It's because he wanted to feel what it's like to be on top of something. And that's really stuck with me. That drive and that passion for something that's kind of, at its best, really romantic. And I really appreciated that. How about you, Eric?
Completely agree. A lot of fun to chat with. I can see why they and the Climbing Coonies are friends. Like they have a lot in common, just even beyond just the love for adventure. Both couples, just wonderful people to chat with. A lot of fun, really engaging, and like you said, they truly care. Like they could have just blown us off as, oh, we're just gonna, chat with a couple of random jokers, but no, they really embraced us.
I think they engaged us like we were worth talking to, and
Yeah.
and they wanted to.
They know we weren't.
I know, so surprises on them, but they really wanted to tell their stories. And did so with kindness and humor and being really down to earth. I think that's what I love about the hiking community for the most part, is that the people that do it, they do it out of a deep love for something that's really real and that lives kind of deep down inside them. That's why I like engaging with people like the Coonies and the Roaches, even though they've accomplished more than you or I ever will.
Yep.
We're still driven by kind of the same things.
You wouldn't know in just blindly walking into a conversation with Gerry and Jennifer, especially, that they have influenced so many lives. And, not only have they written books and accomplished so much, but they've influenced and guided and provided so much encouragement and so many different roadmaps for the rest of us to be able to kind of stumble our way to the top and enjoy the views that they've enjoyed. So totally agree. Lots of fun. Really comfortable conversation, even though we were both kind of sweating and like, oh, how's this gonna go? But it was wonderful. Had a lot of fun chatting with the Roaches.
You can see why they're an inspiration in terms of their accomplishments, but in terms of how they write, they're able to convey that passion for peaks through their writing, and I felt that. This was just a ton of fun. So if Gerry and Jennifer have gotten this far in your interview, thank you both so much for offering up your time, and hopefully we get to do it again, and maybe we could talk about all the other things. Eric and I have lots of questions coming into these things, pages of notes, and I only got through maybe a half a page worth of questions. So I want some hot takes from both of them on the state of climbing today and wilderness and all kinds of stuff. So it should be fun.
Yeah, for sure. Every time we talk with someone or someone's, Zach is the one that comes up with the outline that we share with our guests ahead of time. And he shared an outline that was close to 2 pages worth of questions. And like you said, we're lucky if we got through half a page of questions. And I even reached out to my buddy Travis. Hey, do you have any questions for the Roaches? He had like 7 different questions he wanted to ask. We didn't even touch any of them because we didn't have time to get into everything. So, yeah, hopefully we get to do this again. If we don't get to, thank you, Gerry and Jennifer, for your generosity and your humor and your fun. But it would be wonderful to chat with you guys again in, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, and get to enjoy your company again.
I want to end here with a Jerryism. Mountains lie out there waiting for you. Climb them.
Love it.
So, Eric, if people want to access stuff from the Roaches, how can they do so?
Well, they've got a few avenues. My favorite is, like you had mentioned in the intro to the first episode, Zach, they do have a website, climb.mountains.com. I forget which page he has on there, but he has probably 70 to 100 different dad jokes on there on one of the pages, but I forget what he calls it. He doesn't call it dad jokes, but you can access their materials there. They do have their books on Amazon, so you can find them there.
Their publisher is Fulcrum Publishing. If you want to go
Yep.
directly to Fulcrum itself, you
Yep.
can probably purchase through there. Yeah, those are the ways to find Gerry and Jennifer and read all their amazing work.
Love it. And if you want to reach out to us, I don't know why you'd want to after that. You'd be reaching out to the wrong guys, that's for sure. But if you want to, you can email greensandbluespodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on our Facebook group or our YouTube page. You can find Zach at Blue Sky, at his name, Zach Simpson. And don't X him, don't Twitter him. He doesn't want to do that anymore. He's through with that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, I still lurk around on there, but thank you guys so much. You can hear us again in 2 weeks with our next, probably much more mundane episode.